and welcome once again to the video. In this one, I shall be following on from my video looking at the Formula One 2024 testing, 3-day testing session in Bahrain. I shall be following on from that with a few of my own often inaccurate, going by previous years, predictions. What I'll do is I'll just simply list down the drivers and the teams and then just say a few things about where I think those drivers will fare against each other, or the teams against each other. I do have some definite opinions, but time will tell if they prove to be correct or incorrect. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to write down the names of the drivers. List off the S. So Verstappen. Perez. Leclerc. Sainz. Let's focus. That's good. Hamilton. Russell. Alonso. Stroll. Norris. Piastri. Who should I do next? Maybe Gasly. Ocon, of course. Ocon. Then maybe, so it's 6 teams done, so let's do Albon, Sargeant, Bottas, Zhou. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've got Magnussen, Hulkenberg, and of course we have, who have I left off? Oh, yeah. Ricciardo and Tsunoda, all the same drivers as last year, of course. 20 and their respective teams. We have RedBull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, McLaren, who's next? Alpine, 3. Now, as a little favour to Haas, I didn't put them last. I didn't put the drivers last, and I didn't put them last. But I think they will be. So these are my 2024 F1 predictions. Okay. So, let's have a little drink, and then I will say what I want to say. Okay, so let's start at the top. Now, some of these sort of predictions I did sort of cover with my testing video, but not all, so thought I'd go through the whole list. Verstappen and Perez. I think Verstappen will be pretty comprehensively thrashed, even more so. Well, maybe not more so, it's impossible to be more thrashed, but I do think Perez will be completely crushed this year by Verstappen, to the extent that it might, I think it will damage his standing at Red Bull. I don't know what kind of contract Perez has. I don't know if he's signed up for next year yet. I assume he is, because there's not been any talk of a 2025 seat at Red Bull. So I assume he is signed up. But yeah, I think this year he's just going to be completely trampled underfoot by Verstappen. And that's no insult to Perez, because I think pretty much everyone would be. Maybe a couple of, maybe the older drivers like Alonso and Hamilton would not be crushed by Verstappen. But I think pretty much everybody else would. It's Verstappen's team at the end of the day. The car tends to be designed around how Verstappen likes it. Yes, Perez can have individual setups for races, but the actual basic car design is always set up for how Perez likes it. It's designed around, Verstappen. So Verstappen, will win the championship easily, of course. So I'm going to put down there, champion, okay? Exclamation mark, because it's a bit obvious. Ferrari, now in the past, I have always said that I think Leclerc is going to outdrive Sainz, but not this year. I think very much so that Sainz will outperform Leclerc, because he feels like he's got something to prove. There's less pressure. Yes, he does have the pressure to find another seat, but he doesn't have the pressure to perform at Ferrari, because he's already lost his seat. So that pressure that Perez feels massively, and I believe Sainz was feeling massively last year, that's gone. So I think Sainz will be fantastic this year. A standout performer in the Ferrari, I think, beating Leclerc. So Sainz gets a circle for me. And I'm going to write, there's 3 particular standout performers, I think, this year, and they are going to be, let's write this here, standouts in 2024. I'm going to put Verstappen, because I just think he's already standing out, of course, but I think he will continue to stand out. Sainz and Hamilton. I think Hamilton will have the beating of Russell, more so than last year. Last year Russell had, he did make some mistakes, but he also had bad luck as well, which accentuated the gap between them in the championship. This year, I think because of the Ferrari move again. Sainz, I think, is going to drive better because he's lost the seat, and Hamilton is going to drive better because he's got the seat. He can relax and think this is almost like a bonus year. He's going to be at Ferrari for at least 2 years. So he can think, well, okay, I'll win the championship, the 8th championship at Ferrari. So this final year at Mercedes is just a bit of a bonus. So I think Hamilton will be on fire, basically. And I think he will wipe out, he's not going to wipe out Russell, but he will beat him. I think all throughout the year he will be better than Russell, basically. In the same way that he was faster than Rosberg, even in Rosberg's championship year, all throughout the season, Hamilton was faster. He just had more bad luck. So Sainz, I think, will comfortably beat Leclerc. Hamilton will comfortably beat Russell. You heard it here first. Now, with Aston Martin, Stroll, I don't think his heart's in it. He's already made references last year to possibly retiring. Not mentioning any dates, but he's clearly not happy because he's getting crushed by Alonso all the time. I think it'll be the same thing this year, but I don't think it'll be as obvious. I don't think it'll be so obvious because I don't think the Aston Martin is going to be as good as it was in the first third of the season last year. And because the car was so good, it allowed Alonso to shine more so. So yes, I think Alonso will continue to demolish Stroll, but it won't be as obvious because there won't be quite so many podium finishes. Stroll won't have to look up and see Alonso on the podium quite so many times, I believe, this year. Not that the Aston Martin is bad, but it doesn't have the jump on its rivals that it had last year. I think Mercedes and McLaren are pretty much level with them, and Ferrari are ahead. Now McLaren, that's a difficult one to call. I can't, because you could say Norris has the experience, so he will continue like last year to be faster because he was all year last year faster. But Piastri, we know from him winning F3 at his first attempt and then F2 at his first attempt. We know that he's fantastic. So whereas Norris didn't win F2, he came runner-up to Russell with Albon in 3rd place. Was that in 2018, I think? Anyway. We can't say that Piastri's lack of experience will hold him back because Norris was quick right from the start in 2019. So, and Piastri's had a whole year now in the car, so I think it's going to be so level, pegging between those two. I can't separate them because they are such a strong lineup, really, really strong. People don't talk about them so much as being when people talk about strong lineups, they mention Ferrari and they mention Mercedes. They don't mention Red Bull because Perez is the weak link there, but they mention Ferrari, they mention Mercedes. But Norris and Piastri, really, I think, certainly as future stars. I think, for instance, in, say, 5 years' time, a team with Norris and Piastri in it would be like Prost and Senna, Can't separate them. Alpine, I think Alpine it'll be the same story, basically. I think same as last year. They'll just be sort of upper midfield. I can't see anything exciting there. I don't even know which one of the two of them finished ahead of the other. It was fairly even between them, I think. Yeah, but I can't remember who finished on top of the other one, but certainly they didn't dominate each other. I'm just going to put in the shadows to a certain extent. Same as last year. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Now, Williams. Yeah, so I think he's going to be crushed. Let's put that next to Perez, shall we? And let's put it next to beaten but not as much, but not by as much. Not by as much. But only because, as I say, because the Aston Martin won't be hitting podiums quite so much. That's the only reason why I don't think Alonso will beat him by as much. Now, Albon and Sargeant and the Williams. I think last season for Sargeant, I reckon. Now, that might sound cruel, but I'm having to give predictions here. I don't want that to be the case. I don't want that to be the case for any driver, although it does allow other drivers to come in, of course. But even in testing, he was having a few mistakes. He had some problems with the car, yes, but there were some mistakes there as well. So I can see him being replaced. I think I'm surprised he wasn't replaced at the end of 2023. Albon will do his usual top performer. But of course, that's because he's in a lesser car. He's quite a sensitive soul, Albon. So I tend to think that if he was to go back into the Red Bull again, would he be as good? He doesn't seem ruthless enough to be a Formula One driver. He reminds me a little bit of Thierry Boutsen, who was sort of quiet and meek and mild. And he did win 3 races, Thierry Boutsen, but he was always soundly thrashed by Mansell when he went into the Williams. Before that, at Benetton, he was really good, but Benetton were not a top team. Okay, and by the time Boutsen went to Williams were not a top team either. Actually, was Boutsen ever Mansell's teammate? No, he was Patrese teammate, wasn't he? But anyway, as soon as he left Benetton and was moved up to Williams, even though the Williams then actually went down in performance, Boutsen then seemed to struggle because it was historically a top team. He then struggled. And so I worry about Albon if he was to... I don't worry, but I wonder if the same thing would happen to Albon if he goes back up to a top team again. Bottas and Zhou, better year, I think, for Zhou. I think he will have a better year. Bottas seems to almost be sort of copying Alonso. I like to think he's his own man, but Bottas comes across, he did last year as well, walking around like sort of John Wayne in the paddock, you know, playing with his moustache, swaggering about like a cowboy. What's he playing at? He's a Finnish bloke, basically. He's supposed to just stay icy like Kimi Räikkönen always was. Don't try to put on a different persona. But ever since leaving Mercedes, Bottas has tried to be a cowboy from Texas. And I don't understand that. Is he trying to copy Alonso? Not that Alonso's doing that, but Alonso's sort of casual, calm, relaxed, always smiling, I'm just having fun now kind of attitude, you know. Is that what Bottas is trying to copy? Anyway, I'm not a fan of it. But I think Zhou will have... Bottas has still driven well the last couple of years in the Sauber. But I do think that Zhou will have a better year this year. Magnussen and Hulkenberg bringing up the rear, basically. Bring up the rear. I can't see Haas. I mean, Haas are actually targeting 10th place in the championship, aren't they? That's what their new guy, Komatsu, has said. They're looking to break into the top 10 in the Constructors' Championship this year. So I'm sure they'll do that. I'm sure they'll get into the top 10. So I think they'll bring up the rear. Ricciardo and Tsunoda, I think Ricciardo will have a good year. But I think they both will. Both. Good years. Both equal, maybe. Good year. Not the tyres. Both will have a good year, I think, Ricciardo and Tsunoda. I think they will both do well. I think Ricciardo's all fired up. I think he's comfortable in the RB. He did really well in testing. Tsunoda, he didn't do too bad in testing, did he? But Tsunoda had his best year last year. So I think they will have a good year. So, but my standout performers are Verstappen, Sainz and Hamilton. So who will win the championship? Well, it's obviously Red Bull, isn't it? I mean, is there much point in even discussing that? I really hope not. But what will happen between... obviously, you've got Red Bull at top then. Okay, so I'll underline them. I still think, yeah, Ferrari are sort of in between. They're the same distance behind Red Bull as they are ahead of these ones, I think. And it's not very far. But I will still put... I suppose Ferrari had to be like that, and then the others. I don't want that to be the case. I don't want it to be Mercedes. I don't want Mercedes to be in the third tier. And then I don't necessarily put Alpine there. Maybe I do put Alpine there. I don't know. RB could do really well. But I've written RB at the bottom, haven't I? So let's just put down here. I don't know, that's going to be a battle for third, but if I put down here, I think they will be... I think our Alpine will manage 6th. I think RB will be 7th, I think. 8th, I think, will be Sauber. 9th, Williams. 10th, Haas. First, second... Who do I think? Shall I make a prediction on this then? I'm going with, because Hamilton's going to be so on fire, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say 4th for McLaren, 5th for Aston Martin. So they're not in the right order. But 1st Red Bull, 2nd Ferrari, 3rd Mercedes, 4th McLaren, 5th Aston Martin, 6th Alpine, 7th RB, 8th Sauber, 9th Williams, 10th Haas. I think Albon will do well, but I think Sargeant is, to a certain extent, dead in the water, I'm afraid. His confidence, I think, is shot to pieces. And that was even before testing. So I don't see them doing any better, basically, than 9th. So that's my little predictions video. I should probably release this, well, I will release this on just before the season, basically. Probably on, I suppose I should release it on, I suppose it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, isn't it, the weekend? So this has probably been released on Wednesday, but we'll see anyway. So I think Sainz will win that battle, and I think Hamilton will win that battle. Alonso will obviously win that battle, but not by as much, because there won't be so many podiums. So there you go. I'm going to write them here again. My standouts: Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton. They're the drivers that I think will do really well. They won't necessarily finish in that order in the championship. Depends on the cars. But I think these 3 drivers will stand out. With their performance. Okay, so off we go into the first race then. Personally, I would love to have a British champion, or British 1, 2, 3, British winner of the Grand Prix, British 1, 2, 3. It's not going to happen, I don't think, but I'd love to see Hamilton. I'm desperate for him to win that 8th championship. Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so. And I don't just do Formula One videos, I do other videos on different subjects, and I do some pure ASMR videos as well, with nothing much else in them. I do those. I do everything basically. Yeah, so if you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or like the video, or comment. I do get lots of comments and I reply to them all, so yeah, if that's more than welcome. And if you'd like to leave a tip, I do have there's the thanks button underneath the video, just below the video, if you wish to leave a tip. But that's not essential, of course. I'm just happy that you're watching. Right. Until next time. Well, until the Grand Prix. Goodbye for now.